Us waiting on you, Miss Bullet.
I just waiting on the time. I got to give everybody, the few minutes they complain about starting early and they have to listen to the recording. So it's 6 o'clock, Elkin. So thank you very much. How we doing today?
I was only playing, but I said us waiting on you.
That's fine. That's fine. We having a productive week?
Pretty good.
Today is just Tuesday. Feels like Friday.
Right. Yeah. I am saying, I applaud all of you because it's extremely hard to go to work and go to school and deal with home. So that's why I say I applaud you. Please take it easy. Burnout is a medical condition now where you go to the doctor and they give you days off. Okay, because a lot of people are under a lot of pressure and stress. So please get some help. It's gonna be tough. And especially when the end of the month comes, that's next week, it'll be tougher, okay? So get that little niece or nephew and promise them McDonald's on payday or $10 lunch and get them to help you, okay? It's difficult, okay? But I'm happy that most of you are here and I trust that you all had a productive week. I hope that some of us had the opportunity to read the newspaper. I hope that some of us had the opportunity to subscribe. I don't know, I think somebody mentioned that they were going to get their 5% today. So of course, we use the first half an hour to 45 minutes to discuss newspaper articles and the civic organization. So that'll give, persons that are fighting traffic the opportunity to join the class without having to listen to the, recording. So is there anybody? Just raise your hand and let me know if you read the newspaper and you're ready to get your 5%. If anybody wants to share. Okay, Vernice, very good.
Hi, everyone. Good night. I am driving, Mrs. Bullet.
Okay, we want you to get home safe.
Okay,
so
okay.
We'll come back to you. Yeah, stay focused and get home safe. Okay.
Okay.
We'll come right back to you. Okay, let us know when you reach. Okay, Elkin?
Oh.
You want driving, Elkin?
No.
Oh,
no,
okay, good.
No,
Okay.
Jesus take the wheel already, Miss Bullet.
Okay, great.
Oh, sorry about that. Okay, so in today's newspaper, biggest banking trend for 2023, the credit recess says, I'm reading from it right now. So yeah, for most Bahamians, the biggest banking trend for 2023 will be a credit reset as the economy continues to see a rebound. The credit bureau becomes more aware of Bahamians' credit reality, and more persons look at how they can restructure to get to a more sustainable credit footing. Chief Executive Officer of Fidelity Bank, Garwan Bowe, said yesterday, in the US, rising interest rates are squeezing the pockets of American borrowers, but the Bahamas has a different lending environment, Bowe noted. One that remains constant while consumers often have to shift their habits. The habits that Bahamians should adopt, according to Bowe, should involve credit sustainability. So it seems as though we are heading in a digital platform, whether we like it or not.
Okay, and are we all aware of what the credit bureau is? Is there anybody who does not know?
I'll be honest, I don't know what that is.
Okay, very good. So Elkin, are you aware?
No, because now I've heard, whereas the loan officers may have mentioned like credit report as relates to getting loans, and it also comes under credit cards as well, but that's just the surface of it.
Okay, so let me just give you an overview and you can do some research because it's coming. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with America. America lives on credit. And so they have these credit scoring agencies. I think it's Equifax and I'm not TransUnion. And so what they do is they apply a scoring to your to each person under their social security number, which is similar to our NID number. And so every time you go to seek a loan or any type of credit card or any borrowing facility, they then check your credit score. Now, credit score would run, I think, between 350 and 800, with 800 being an excellent credit score. So in the Bahamas, we operate by debt service ratio. And I think the debt service ratio is about, you can borrow up to 45 or 50% of your salary. And I used to work at Commonwealth Bank way back in the day in 1990 something. And we had government employees with paychecks at the end of the month that said $2. Okay, and we all know Commonwealth is just top up your loan, top up your loan. And so persons continuously came in for top ups until they had $2. So here it is, somebody showing up to work every day and they can't even buy food. And so the government, of course, had to interject, and they implemented a debt service ratio to control the loan sharks and not lend people more than, it used to be 45% of their salary. Now it's I think it's 50%. And again, it's just to assist you, because of course you have to buy pay electricity bills, pay school fees, buy food, you have to live. And so therefore this is why they implemented it to assist persons. Now of course we all know there's always a black market, right? And so Bahamians found a way to work around that debt service ratio. You know, sometimes they lend you 55%. Some people even break the law and lend you 60%. Or they, you know, bring in a fictitious job letter from somewhere and say, oh, you do a side job for somebody. And so it's still a problem. And so what they are going to do now, there's a credit bureau. It's already been established. I imagine it'll carbon copy the United States, where they'll attach it to your national insurance number. And so when you go into the bank to borrow, all of your loans, your credit cards, anything under your name will automatically populate. And so there's no lying or getting around it. And they're gonna issue you a score. And so with that score, yeah, a lot of people will not be able to do this continuous borrowing, that we have gotten a bad habit. Now, what I was suggesting to the class, I said, you want to go in with a good score. Now, they were supposed to roll it out in 2021, but of course the pandemic came, nobody was working, loans were behind, and so nobody would have a good score, right? And so therefore they postponed it. But since the postponement, and they've come up with new ideas that they don't only want to add loans, they want to add utility bills to it. So if you owe BC, you owe water and sewage, all of that will you know, affect your credit score. So listen, read up on it. They have a nice website with lots of information. They also have loads of trainings. Listen out for it whilst you're reading the news. Find out when the official launch date is, and make sure that all your payments are made that month. Make sure you don't owe BC or water and sewage, because you don't want to go in with a bad credit score, okay? Because that'll definitely affect you if you're trying to get a mortgage or any other loan that you have, okay? And then again, the lower the credit score, the higher the interest rate. And of course, we already know that interest rates are ridiculous right now. I think it's between 12 and 16%, very, very high. Okay, and so you really want to be able to negotiate the best rate possible. So Elkin, all the persons who work in the loan department will definitely be trained on, you know, using this credit score, because like I said, it's written into law now. Okay, so look out for it and make sure that at minimum you go in with a good score. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Okay, anybody else want to add? Anybody who knows anything about it wants to add to that? No, or that was a lot. Okay, okay, good, very good. So look out for it. Okay, thank you very much, Elkin, for sharing. Trinette?
Hi, good night, everyone. Hi, Miss
Hi.
Bullard. Boy, what I have on my mind today, I was reading, quite ironically, I was driving to work. I was in the area of Village Road. Oh my God, it's awful. And then I look in the paper and I see this story where Mr. Field says that he can see an end in sight, because I think he's the owner of some business on that road. And he's saying that he can see an end in sight. And I'm like, what end? Because just every time they dig it up, they pave it again. And
We're losing you, Trinette.
So-
You're going out and in.
you can hear me now?
Yeah, that's better.
Okay. No, I was talking about the road works on Village Road. And then I opened the business section this morning and I saw a story that Tribune did. And Mr. Fields is talking about that they, as business owners, I guess, can see an end in sight to the road works. And they're asking the government to provide some, I guess, monetary assistance for the business owners in refurbishing, I guess, whatever was dug up, because I've never really driven the whole entire road since they started the works. But the frustration and I'm like, I can't believe after all of this that they're gonna have to fork over funds for business owners. And you have people who their cars were damaged on this road. They cause accidents and all that other stuff. And here it is. No one is standing up for them, but of course the businesses, they're gonna get theirs. So I was just peeved by that. And it was so ironic. As soon as I sat down at work, after getting all thrown up and down in the car, I saw this story. So yeah, I was
Right.
reading that and it was depressing.
Right. And I think the business owners stated that they have like a 70% loss, because the thing about it is, if you want to go to a restaurant on Village Road, you may get dressed, and when you reach the beginning of Village Road, you may go, so you say, oh, no, I can't. I just get my car clean. I'm not going to take it through there. So they've lost a lot of business. And then at some points, the road was like completely cut off. Right. And so the businesses were open, but
Yeah.
people just did not have access. So I think that's the biggest complaint, that access, right? And them losing so many customers. Okay, so
Right.
again, very good. It affects, you know, I used to go to Queen's College, so I dread.
Oh, let's not
I
even
told-
talk about school pickup.
Yes.
Jesus.
So I every time I drive past, I was like, oh my God, I thank you. This did not happen in my day. We had the same little bumpy road. We considered Soldier Road and Village Road the worst road in the Bahamas, because we had to drive it every day. And Ms. Bullet done graduate from school at least 25 years ago,
Sweet
and
Jesus.
they
It's still
just
awful.
fixing this road. Yes, they just fixing this road. So, okay, well, just let them do it. However long it takes, get it fixed. So,
That's
very
another
good.
thing. There's no end in sight, because every
Yeah,
time they
there's no
give a
end.
date, they push it back. They've been pushing this back from last year. So I don't know. They said the 21st of January, 2023.
Yeah, and I actually, right. So when they were doing Prince Charles was like another horrendous process where it could never end. And what happened is, I spoke to one of the truckers was out there, and he told me what happens is, you know, it's BPL, the telco, and water and sewage, and they normally have a meeting to say these are the parts that are going to be dug up. Schedule your maintenance or whatever you need to do.
Right.
And he says nobody comes to the meeting. And so what happens is, today water and sewage would fix something. They would close up the road and pave it. And then tomorrow BPL would be like, no, why y'all close the
my
road up?
goodness.
I need to fix something. So they were spending millions of dollars in tar, paving, and what have you. And so now I think they have a system where, listen, this is going to be open for a month. Everybody who needs to fix something better come in this month. But again, people still come after and dig it right back. So it's no proper organization, and that's what causes it to be so delayed. Okay, yeah, another pet peeve. Okay, very good. Trinette, Sherry.
Hi, good night, everybody. I
Good
just want
night.
to add to what Trinette was saying about the roadworks. One of my friend, her car actually, she drove a car actually in one of the trenches, and
Oh,
they are
wow.
charging her for not paying attention.
Oh, no,
Yes, she's actually getting
definitely
charged.
not.
Yes, they said that she was not following the sign. She said there wasn't any sign. It's not too clear where to go left, right. You're making your own road on that roadway. If you drive that way, you have to decide if I can stick to the left or I go to the right. And when I look at the car was halfway in the trench. The car is all mashed up. She had to get a wreck up, but they are actually charging her. So be careful of those who are on the
Wow,
road.
no,
She needs to
I
go to
would
court and fight that.
definitely fight that.
Go to court and fight that. That's not right. That can't be right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what they told. Yeah, she just told me that. So I was just saying that it's so inconvenient for persons on that road because one time at one point it was just one way going left and you had to come back one way on the left and going down on the left. So I was scared because when I was driving and look on the right, the trench was right there. So you have to be very careful not to just swerve your car because you'll be in the trench as well. But they're not seeing these things and they're blaming people for driving and not paying attention. So I agree with you there. This is a really serious thing, and then it's causing traffic for us in the east. One-way traffic coming on Eastern Road, traffic is backed right up. I leave home at what 6:50 every morning just to get out the traffic. If I leave home 7 o'clock, I'm gonna reach to work at almost 8 o'clock. Just from Eastern Road to Shirley Street. And so it's inconvenience to
Wow.
persons and they're not realizing this and they're not even concerned about that because this roadway should have been completed a long time. And like we said, they keep pushing back and then it's just horrific. Just horrific. So I have to be to work till 7 o'clock, which I'm supposed to be to work till 8:30. Just to beat the
Wow.
traffic. Yes.
Yeah, sorry about that, Sherry. Hopefully they'll get it fixed soon. Like I say, just a 30-year-old problem, okay?
Yes.
Just a 30-year-old problem. So yeah, hopefully. But I always say, you know, we sit down and we talk a lot, right? But we don't act a lot. And so with all the other classes, I'm discussing like a lobbyist group. Because and we don't want, I mean, Lincoln Bain and the COI and everybody, you know, the activists, they do a fairly okay job. But what I don't support is you can't join the government 6 months after you be the activist. No. You have to stay on the right side because you have to continuously fight for the people. And so that's the part about them that I don't
Exactly.
support.
Yeah.
But
I agree with Ms. Bullet. I agree with that because especially when you live in like Clint Watson, persons like that.
yes, I'm so disappointed because he was the only one we got the investigative press from, and I am so disappointed in him. But nevertheless, what in America, that's what, you know, you need somebody to hold your feet to the fire.
Yes.
You need investigative press and you need lobbyists and you need them to stay on one side. You know, and in America, they even have paid lobbyists where people say, okay, this is the road work, this is the time frame, and somebody's going to be accountable if this road is not fixed and fixed properly, and somebody's going to be accountable if we have to dig this road back up. You know,
Yeah.
and so the lobbyists hold the politicians feet to the fire. But in the absence of that, we have people doing what they feel like doing and thinking that that is okay, but it's with taxpayers' money. You know, so we need to get those groups off the ground, and we need people who don't want to be the prime minister the week after. They stand up and make some noise.
Bribery going on. That's all. It's just bribery.
Yeah, that's another story, Sherry. That's another story. Yeah. Okay. Okay, guys. Very, very good. Very good that of the awareness. So that's excellent. Okay. Okay, Sherry, that's Trinette, Elkin, and Nathan. Go ahead, Nathan.
Hi, good evening, good evening. I was reading an article in the Tribune today, a letter to the editor from Mr. Derek Smith, relative to a firm's greatest asset can also be its major risk. It's basically talking about human resources and risk assessments, trying to identify the risk that employees would pose to a company. The article also delve into various sectors that human resources consider hazards that a company should consider, such as the mental health of employees, dissatisfaction, various issues. But what really caught my attention to it was where they say that a human resource risk assessment aims to identify the potential risks that employees pose to a company. It involves assessing the risks associated with employee behavior and adhering to applicable employment laws regarding hiring, dismissing employees, workplace behaviors, and working conditions. I found that article interesting too, because like, you know, when you join companies and organizations, they would have you go through all kind of different readings, what's to do, what not to do, proper parameters or channels to follow. It was an interesting article. It was in a major read, but it was talking about the risks posed by human capital for companies. It could go from being burnout to the people you employ and the risks. All these are various risks associated with companies face.
Right. And Nathan, do you feel like, I mean, let me just ask you before I say about the whole entire Bahamas, but in the company you work for, did they, when you have like an employee handbook, or did they issue you a code of conduct?
Yes, they did.
Okay, and so is it relevant or is it an outdated one? Because a lot of companies have an outdated one.
Well, ours is relatively new. It's, I think, came out in 2020, the most recent version, so it's still up to date.
Okay, and so does it emphasize that, of course, our very most important asset is our human capital? Because without employees, you know, carrying out our mission, our vision, and our goals, we really can't operate. So is the culture one of that employees are important and their health and wellness is important?
Most definitely, like,
Okay.
most definitely.
Okay, good. And so do you have that employee wellness program or hotline in the event you do have trauma or tragedy or just burnout? Is that all included? Because I know years ago when I was at Royal Bank, there was a 1-800 number that you would call, and it offered you free counseling, free therapy, and what have you. Does your company offer that?
We're not
No?
we're not on that level as RBC, no man.
Oh, okay, okay. But I'm certain that if there is an issue, they will perhaps direct you to health insurance
Most
where
definitely.
you can get help.
Most
Okay.
definitely, yes, ma'am.
Yes. And so all of you, I want you to look at your employee handbook. I want you to find out if there's a health and wellness number. And the important thing is that, you know, life happens. And when life happens, people handle it differently. And so the important thing is that you get help. So please take advantage of that. And that is a big risk if Ms. Bullitt is sitting there suffering from trauma and she doesn't feel like anybody is confidential enough for her to talk to. Okay? Or there's a sick parent or a sick child. An employee of mine was going through a divorce and she had asked for her lunch hour to be at 3 o'clock. And I was in her direct manager. So she went to the supervisor of our department and she said, I'm having some personal issues at home. Am I able to take my lunch hour at 3 p.m. for the rest of the month? And she said, do you think that is fair? Other people have children, blah, 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 blah. She just went on and on and on. And you know, she said, no, I'll get back to you. She never got back. And so it was raised in HR. And it ended up on my desk. And, you know, I said, are you experiencing some difficulties at home? And she said, yes, but I just don't care to share it. And I said, you don't have to share it. You know, you're a valuable employee. You've been here for many years and we are going to work with you. I mean, eventually she came out and said, I was going through a divorce, but she didn't have to say. Okay, so evaluate your employees, and some people take advantage of the system, but most persons are genuine. They come to work every day. They are reliable. Work with them, and you don't have to know their business. Okay, because mental health is very, very important. Okay, if your employees are good and they're not worrying about their children in the schoolyard or worrying about the safety at home of their loved one, then they'll be more productive. Okay, so when we are the future leaders, we are going to be the CEOs and the head of HR and the head of compliance. We want to make sure that we have the code of conduct is relevant, the employee handbook is relevant, and we offer some concessions to our most valuable asset, which is the employees. Okay, so very good, Nathan. Thank you so much for sharing that. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Savannah. Is Savannah there?
Hi,
Okay. Hi.
good afternoon, class. I didn't find anything pertaining to class in the newspaper, so I didn't read the newspaper I sent yesterday. But I went on Netflix and I found this movie called Dirty Money. I was intrigued with the money laundering and all the different stuff, so I went on Netflix and I watched a thing called Money Laundering. I'm sorry, Dirty Money. And it was so interesting to me because Wells Fargo is one of the biggest banks in the world, apparently, and there was no money laundering, not money, sorry, and there was, well, first of all, when they started the movie, they were saying they give their clients a target every day. They got open certain amount of accounts, and well, apparently, the state in America, there are near 5,000 people in the state, and they had like 20 employees, and 10 of the employees was people who had to open accounts for people. And at the end of the month, it was like some of them wasn't meeting a quarter, so they started opening up false accounts, and like I didn't know all that was even going on in the bank. Like it just really opened my eyes to things that's been going on in the bank pertaining to anti-money laundering and how people do certain things. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yes, Savannah, and right. And so also, if you have time, and we consider this awareness training, like you said, I didn't even know. Okay, and so these help you to know what the possibilities are, because some of these things you can't even imagine. And so
yeah, even the Bernie Madoff,
go
the
ahead.
Madoff guy as well. He's amazing. God rest his soul. He's amazing. The things he did, and he wasn't even no college student, but he was so brilliant with the way he hid the money for so long. He's even able to fool the FBI for a very long time.
Yeah.
Like that movie was amazing. Like I think you guys should watch it if you haven't watched it as yet. That and Dirty Money. See, they be doing the anti-money laundering course and the terrorist financing.
Yeah. So 4,500 persons across Wells Fargo got fired from that one scandal.
Okay? There was even opening accounts for dogs, and this apparently this lady, she's like 90 years old, and she had like 7 accounts, and it was like when certain employees noticed certain things and they went to HR and reported, it's like they was getting in trouble for it and it's firing them. And I was like, what? Like HR will be there to protect you, but they firing you because you blowing the torch on somebody who actually doing false transaction in the bank. But that was the way they was making their money for years. And they had this thing called add-on in the bank. I don't know if you're familiar with that term.
I am. Like, I don't know if everybody else is. Go ahead.
Like when you have they want you to have a savings account, a checking account, a loan account. I'm like, what the hell are you doing them accounts for? When you just, you know what I mean? Like it was just amazing watching. I watched Madoff like twice because I was so amazed with that movie.
Right. And like I said, 4,500 persons got fired. And I would say the majority of those persons were not even involved with the fake account. They were just negligent. They signed off on it. They didn't verify properly. They were just extremely negligent. And so in the course of my career, the person closest to me, my teller of the year, the employee of the year, the bestest, the person always promoted was always the one who was stealing. Royal Bank used to offer you a cruise for the most sales. And that
Wow.
person always got fired after they went on that cruise because they manipulated the system to win. Okay, so
Why
be
would it
very
even allow you
careful.
to open so much accounts? That should be a red flag right there.
No, what happens is that the bank set these unrealistic targets, and then
Mhm.
sometimes people get fired if they don't meet the target. And so a lot of people in the account opening department, they're under a lot of pressure, and they compromise themselves to keep their job because they weren't about the school fees, they weren't about the mortgage, they weren't about how they could pay this or that. And I think last week I told you all, you need 5 revenue streams so that
Mhm.
when these bank jobs get out of control, you do not have to compromise yourself. You have another source of income like rent or a car wash or a barber shop. You have something to fall back on. So you don't have to steal or lie or cheat,
Mhm.
or be negligent intentionally so you can eat. Okay? So please, like I say, 4 weekends, 3 weekends you party, 1 weekend you network. Find a way to make money. Find a way to open up your own company. Find a way to learn something new. Get with like-minded persons and brainstorm. Okay? So
Makes sense.
very good. So watch Inside a Job too and watch the one on HSBC. All of that is awareness training. So very good, Savannah. Okay,
All right.
good. Major.
All right, good night. Just to backtrack a bit and piggyback on what Nathan was saying, with the employee risk. Take vacation as well. I have persons who don't know when to stop working. They don't know how to pump the brakes and take a break. And I've seen where persons fell out on the job where I work, and that's an issue too, where that poses as risk as well. So
Yeah. Many companies have made it mandatory that
to
you
take
at least
vacation.
take 1 week. And always when you see those people who never take a vacation, 80% of them was stealing and trying to hide something, and they didn't want anybody to work on their desk. Okay, so that's one of the reasons. And then, like you say, a lot of people don't have like anybody at home. So we saw that during the pandemic where you could have worked from home and it was successful for most persons, but people had annoying parents at home, they had children at home, and so their escape is to be at work. And so now we went from having no traffic, not having to buy lunch, not having to pick up and drop children, to blocked up traffic, lunch
Right,
money, pick up and
back
drop
to full
now,
rotation.
simply because people do not like their life at home. Okay, so that's another thing.
Okay,
Please create some ambience. Go ahead, Nathan.
and to add on to the uh the Dirty Money episode 4 on Netflix. Um, just to piggyback on what Savannah was saying, that opened my eyes as well to
Great,
how
great.
much money laundering actually does take place. The HSBC, that story actually, I think that is responsible for the recession that took place in 2008, because it damaged, it break the economy, because it the amount of laundering that was going on with mortgages and predicate loans,
Mhm.
um mortgages, predicate loans, they was giving loans to where persons couldn't pay back, and the terrorist financing as well, the amount of debts that it costs,
Mhm.
the amount of families that lose loved ones, and what's not, like, because it's all about the money, and it's all about the paper trail. And
Right.
a lot of the death that took place with the cartels is the HSBC, Hong Kong Shanghai Bank, was like the leading bank for anti-money laundering, and these cartels would pull up in the bank and show these clerks their whole family.
Correct.
pictures, show them their family, show them their routines for where they travel to work and where they live. And then
wow.
they force now to open this account because they have a saying, it's silver or lead. So that means we can bribe you or we can
Kill
kill
you.
someone
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
for you to adhere or to compromise what it is that you do. And so it's a lot. Inside Job as well. There's a full documentary. That's one to watch too. Inside Job.
You'll
That
fall
go
off your
more
chair,
in depth.
Major.
Man, listen, that talk and the amount of money that those guys made, millions and millions and billions of dollars.
Wow.
And it was people in the what's the company? This is Sachs.
Goldman
I can't
Sachs.
right, Goldman Sachs.
Mhm.
Who else? The
Look at the
Lemon
government
Brothers.
of Iceland. Iceland's still bankrupt
Right.
after all these
Iceland hasn't recovered as yet as well.
years.
And is crazy that and the amount of money they paid out millions and millions of dollars in bonuses to keep certain people in their ring quiet. It's a handful of folk who did not take the interviews. Like persons didn't agree to be interviewed for that documentary who was in the
Right.
scheme.
Right.
So
And you see how they
it's
strategically place the people in the colleges to support them and train
right.
them how to defraud the system.
Harvard, right.
Yes. And
Wow.
then now they're in charge of the Fed. So
Yes.
you cause a whole bank to fail. People lost billions of dollars. Poor people lost all their money. And now you're in
World
charge
Bank.
of the central bank?
Right,
How?
the World Bank.
Yeah.
And it
yeah.
and
It's
it back it caused kickback on China. The factories, the amount of factory workers that lost their jobs, persons who were in America who lost their homes, and it was almost like a fight, a wildfire. If one person in the community or in a cul-de-sac lost their home, then it's more than likely the person next door about to lose their home too, because all of them got the same loan for that particular area.
Correct. Yeah. So the excellent awareness training, so you know what happens in the real world. Okay. And so you keep your eyes open and you protect yourself. And that's why I say always know your job description, always know the policy and procedure, and always explain yourself, because that's how you do not go to jail. If you don't know the policy and procedure, if you do not explain yourself, like I say, my teller of the year, my employee of the year, the person who won the cruise, all was stealing, defrauding the system, manipulating, doing all sorts of stuff. There's no friends at work. Okay, there's no friends
Oh
when
my
it comes to
God.
money.
Miss
No
Miss
friends
Bullard.
when it comes to money. Follow the clear desk policy, lock your screen, don't share passwords, don't share cash. Okay, take heed. Okay,
But
so
sadly in HSBC,
excellent.
no one went to jail.
Yeah,
Right,
only
right. They got away with a
Nobody
slap
went to
on the wrist,
prison.
literally.
Trinette. Only
No one
poor
got
people
locked
go
up.
to jail. Only
Yeah,
poor people
you
go
so
to
right.
jail. Only people without the Ben Laden network goes to jail.
So
I'd
true.
say go out to these civic organizations and meet people. I say get to know everybody in this class. Please listen to Miss Bullet, and you are going to use your network for good, not for bad, but only poor people go to jail.
I think the district attorney was very disappointed when you saw him at the end of that episode. He was very disappointed and felt like he was backed into a corner because he could not get the people on the top.
Agreed.
Okay.
That's exactly what it was.
Okay, because the attorney general was promised a job by the law firm. So now, just like, let's look at Ryan Pinder. Who's the last attorney general before Ryan Pinder?
I think Bethel.
Yeah, Carl Bethel. Carl Bethel right now out of a job. So if a very top law firm promised him, I can pay you $200,000, you think he taking that job. So
But see, and this the conflict, Jesus, our little country is too small for that. You
okay, but
can't
see,
be
this is
switching
what
private and public law. You can't. That's why we have all the issues we have.
yeah, because there's so much corruption and bribery. And to think about it now, you don't have that government salary. You don't have that car where you don't have to pay for gas. You don't have all those perks. And so for 5 years, you are not going to suffer. Okay.
And you see all the files now.
Okay. So this is why I'm telling you, get your 5 revenue streams so you don't end up like them. Okay. Because people will infiltrate the system. You may lose your job. Somebody may get sick. Somebody may die. Okay. You don't want to have to compromise yourself. Okay. So good. Excellent class. Excellent awareness training. Excellent. Adelie?
Good afternoon. I was reading, it didn't go, I don't think it went to the news yet, but I know they were doing interviews about persons speaking out
Okay,
about
we
what
lost you
happened.
just now, Adelie.
Hello?
Yeah, you're going out and then we can't hear you. I don't know if it's just me. Sherry, are you having the same issue? Can you hear Adelie?
Yes, he's going in and out as well.
Yeah, Adelie, check your mic or your connection and we'll come right back to you. Travis?
Okay.
Okay, she's ready. Okay, hi. I am just actually wanted to touch a little bit on the inside job doc, because what I really found there is I actually feel like the law, kind of fails plenty of folks, because they actually first when let the banks give out those like sub prime mortgage loans that they knew that people couldn't really keep up with, and I actually think it go out worse once the in the investment banks, kind of saw what was going on, and they actually chose to take those very toxic loans, and they came up with their own a product that they then call now the false swaps. They was they actually then went and sold them to their clients. They actually had to go and actually when all of them had to go and face them. They were called to speak up to Congress. And it actually came out that firms actually against their own clients.
Yes.
So yeah, so they sold them those things, and then they turn around and they took a position that if those things went south, that they would make them money. And
Yes.
I would say that the crazy thing about that whole thing is that they didn't send any of them to jail, and they all gave them very large bailouts, and because of the fact that they claims that they were all too big to fail.
Right. Okay, and we're dealing with that right now in the Bahamas. FTX is too big to fail. $32 billion, too big to fail. Okay, so I want y'all to pay close attention to the FTX case, learn about cryptocurrency and the risks associated with it, and find out how did FTX get away with this? Because I believe you know, his parents and Caroline, the girlfriend's parents, are both lecturers at big universities in the United States. So
Yes,
I
they
think they
both,
were
you know,
trained.
law. Mhm.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
the
they were trained to
professors.
carry this out. So pay attention to that case, because I can tell you in a few years that's going to end up on Netflix as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, very good, excellent, Travis. Okay, Adelie, thank you so much for that. Adelie, is your
Hello, can you hear me now?
yes, go ahead.
Okay, I was reading about the negligence at PMH. Persons were speaking out to what happened to them when they were on the maternity ward, and how nurses would tell them to push even when they're not supposed to push, or tell them not to push, and they would have to push out their baby just because they needed to. And some people babies would die, and they'll make some people clean their own vomit or anything like that, or have their child's getting killed or stuff like that. So they were taking a survey for people to speak out about what happened, and then I think some news channels did a interview to some people.
Yeah, the PHA, they have a new managing director, so she spoke out about it. But again, Adelie, you know, all through the pandemic, we were hearing about this, and all we do is talk. Okay, and I think we've talked too long. Maria Jackson going in front of the hospital and screaming, talk. We need to hold these people now, need to be removed or held accountable. We need somebody to go into that maternity ward and shadow them and find out exactly what is going on. I think a well-known lawyer, Galanos, she was on the news this evening saying that there are a lot of doctors that are negligent, but you would have to get somebody, another doctor, to write a report on the nurse or doctor, and they have found that that's very difficult for somebody, you know, because we're so close-knit, everybody knows everybody, friends, lovers, and family. None of them are writing a report saying, well, Adelie was negligent and Adelie could have saved that life, but she didn't. And so this is why I don't support, you know, expats, but this is why we need an expat in now to overshadow them and document until we get this fixed. We need an outsider who is not afraid, okay?
But
Because
even
something has to be done.
But even so, if 20 and 30 people can come forward and speak up, then obviously we can say something is wrong, and they should take a initiative to say, this is a hospital, we should make sure everything's right. Because if I have to go in the hospital, I would want everything to be right with me.
But people don't take the initiative, Adelie, unless they're forced to do right, unless there are repercussions. And so there's none except 2 years of talk. Have we not talked about this the entire pandemic? Did we not see the videos where the people were sitting outside in the rain who was suffering from COVID? 2 years
My
ago.
Grammy, from my Grammy was around, we was talking
Okay.
about this.
Okay,
The
so
thing is,
therefore,
When I was there to drop off somebody, the nurse told the man that he had to pee in a diaper because he's been taking them to
we
the
need some
bathroom.
action. But very good experience. Sorry?
I was saying when I was there, the nurse told the gentleman that he had to pee in his diaper or pee himself because he don't have time to take him to the bathroom.
Okay, so that nurse should be reprimanded. Okay, so we need no more talk. We need some action. Okay, so all of y'all in Miss Bullet Network, when I say we starting this lobbying, I hope y'all on board. Okay,
Add me to the group right now. I'm fine. I'm
you ready, Sherry? Okay,
Ready.
very good, very good. Okay, good. Thank you for sharing that, Adelie. Tamara, and then hopefully Vernie's home, and then
Yes, I'm home waiting.
Okay, good. You made it home safe. Okay, go ahead, Tamara.
Oh, good evening, everybody. My computer is like acting crazy, so sometimes I'm on, sometimes I'm off. So when I was off, you guys were talking about PMH. I just wanted to get a good glimpse of that.
Oh, when you say a good glimpse of it, what do you mean?
I'm good with understanding. You were talking about, y'all talking about, well, sorry, were y'all talking about the matter with the lady who died?
No, we are just talking about all of the complaints in the maternity ward, all of the complaints about PMH. And like I said, this has been happening since the pandemic. 2 years now, from 2020, we in 2023, going on our 3rd year, talking.
Yeah, they're terrible. Very
Yeah.
terrible.
Right, so
I-
we need to fix this now. We need some like-minded people to lobby and document all of these issues and hold the feet to the fire. Okay.
I remember a time when I was pregnant with my son, and this lady, she was her water broke, and they had her sitting in the hard chair, and they didn't even check. The nurses were just walking past, and she was screaming, and I felt so bad for her because her water broke. She was there from that morning. I think it was like late in the evening, but they didn't even care.
Right. And so how much longer till it ends up, it'll be us one day or our family member one day. Right. And so we really have to bring these issues to light, and we need to wash away the F&M and the PLP. Okay. And the COI. Okay. We need brand new people in position who are ethical, who are properly trained. I don't want to see no 2nd and 3rd generation running this country no more, because they run it into the ground. The same old ideologies from their parents. We need some fresh blood. And then, like I said, we need the lobbyists to hold their feet to the fire, and the lobbyists are not to cross the line 6 months after they get in place. Okay. So anybody who wants to get it off the ground, or like I say, when it gets off the ground, when you're called, please answer the call. Okay. So excellent. Very good tomorrow. Okay, Bernice, and then we'll get into the lecture. And I'm very proud, very provocative, very a good awareness class. And because like I said, you're here, we want to develop you as a whole. We don't only talk about financial news, but anything that affects us as human beings and in our country, and what we can do to help and make it better. So very good, very intellectual class. So thank you very much. Sorry?
You skipped me?
Yeah, honey, enough, Lachey. We go to Bernice and then you.
All right.
Because Bernice done reach home.
Okay.
Go ahead, Bernice.
I won't be long. Last week, Friday, actually, I saw this header: fintech firms forcing local banks to innovate, says Scotiabank VP. He said that the growth of financial technology companies is forcing the local commercial banks to innovate, evolve, and incorporate the latest financial service technology. And neobanks are entering the financial services space, which means they're doing business that we would traditionally do. And so I found it interesting. And he also spoke to the residents who live in the family islands. He said that they had thought about it for 4 years, trying to figure out, how to reach them. And he's saying that the fintech, the marriage of a foreign and a local fintech firm could be the possible solution. And they had actually invited over last week a partner, which is a fintech company, to, test out the technology. And he said it actually works. But the only thing he said is that the regulatory environment doesn't really support it. So I found it interesting in the fact that we, in the compliance area, and someone mentioned earlier, like digital. Well, for neobanks, for anyone who doesn't know what that is, it's like a type of direct bank that operates online. So you're basically just online. So the digital banking, it seems, Ms. Bullitt, is a new way, eh?
Yeah, but think about it. Everybody using PayPal, e-commerce, they order in from all around the world. Crowdfunding is very popular, the GoFundMe, and then we have one here locally. And so, yeah, it is the way. And we as compliance officers cannot get left behind. And so this is the question that I want to ask. Are we familiar with artificial intelligence? Are we familiar with cryptocurrency? Do we know the difference between digital assets and cryptocurrency?
Nope.
Okay, so the Bahamas has one of the first central banks in the world to produce a digital asset. It is not cryptocurrency, and it's called the sand dollar.
Sand dollar. Mhm.
Okay, all of you, by the end of this class, please know what the sand dollar is, and please start to use it. Okay, we all should know what PayPal is. We should know what e-commerce is, ordering online and paying, for the goods and services. Okay, we should know what crowdfunding is. That's the GoFundMe, and Alive has our platform here in the Bahamas. I'm not certain what it's called, but it's crowdfunding. And there's also AWAC-X that does the crowdfunding on behalf of businesses. Okay, learn all these technologies. If Scotiabank is talking about it, Royal is going to do it, and then CIBC, then Commonwealth Bank, then Fidelity. Okay, and so therefore you do not want to get left behind. As a compliance officer, your department will approve products and services. And so when your CEO approaches you and say, we're going to offer this new product and service, you have to know the risks associated with it. If you don't know, you can't just be scrambling right then. Okay, so this is the time to learn. And this is why I said the regulator for the new FinTech hub in the Bahamas is the Securities Commission. And remember last week I showed you how to just subscribe to
I
the
have no faith
Securities
in them.
Commission. Then right, you can't, but that's all we got, Trinette. That's all we got. Okay, and the DARE Act, the same thing that covers cryptocurrency. You know, like they say, there are laws in place not to commit murder, but people still commit murder. And so there are laws in place, but people still defraud the system. Okay, and so I just want you as compliance officers to be abreast, be aware. These are the water cooler conversations you should be having with your CEO, with your executive team, when the board members come in to sound intelligent. These are the conversations that you have when you go to your civic organization. All this new technology that's all everybody talk about. So please do not get left behind. And Bernice, the problem with regulation is they don't know how to regulate it. They just simply don't know how to control it. Just like Facebook. Facebook is not regulated. So what happens is Facebook does self-regulation, and each time Mark Zuckerberg does something wrong, he just comes before Congress and he apologizes. Okay, and Congress had just recently asked him, do you think an apology is sufficient every time, sir? Every time you do something wrong? And so that's the problem. But they have to find a way. They have to find a way, Bernice, or we have to find a way. Right? And
Yes,
so
ma'am.
normally what we do is the Bahamas, we copy laws from other jurisdictions. So Cayman is normally ahead of the game when it comes to regulation laws. So we copy from Cayman, or we copy from the Netherlands, or we copy from Luxembourg. Okay, so whatever you don't find in our laws and your research, visit those central banks and you should find a similar law online. Okay, but remember now, you see who always gets away. The politician, the CEO, they are normally the lawmakers and the policy writers. And I always say they need to be in jail because they write the law for their benefit, because they know one day this may be them. And so therefore, they put these clauses in place to protect themselves. They're very strategic. Okay? So
Thank you.
very good, Bernice. Thank you too. Okay, somebody signed in an iPhone. I already took the register. I can't add iPhone. I need your government name, please. Thank you very much. Okay, and then we'll end with Lachey. Go ahead, Lachey.
Okay, good night, class. I came across an article about the cruise industry and the effect they have on the marine environment, and the way that they were put on blast basically for engaging in tricks and subterfuge rather than addressing their environmental impact and pollution. I was always a big fan of environmental health and awareness. So I kind of found this article a little interesting, especially since, you know, unregulated fishing and stuff done by legal and local and illegal fishers also have a bad impact on the marine environment. So I found that kind of interesting.
Okay, so Lachey, what we realized with this environmental assessment is that it's cheaper to pay the fine. And so I think Carnival Cruise Lines was charged $1 million the last time they dumped their garbage into our waters. And they got a quote to have the garbage removed, and it came to $3 million. And so they just dump and pay the $1 million fine. And so we've determined that we got to move those fines up to like 10 or 15 million in order to keep these large companies under control, because $1 million, they make that in 2 weeks.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So as you advocate for the fines to be so hefty that they have to, you know, get the it's cheaper than what it would cost them to fix the problem, or the dumping, or the oil, or what have you.
Right.
That's the only way to control them.
Yes, I agree.
Okay. Okay. Very good. Very good. Okay. Is a person from iPhone? Can you introduce yourself so you're not removed from the class?
Hi, this is Deshay. Good night.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. Can you hover over, because we're doing screenshots for the register? Can you hover over and change it from iPhone, please, so we can mark you on the register?
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, guys, very, very good. Ms. Buller is very pleased, okay? The second week, very, very pleased. Okay, so I'm just gonna randomly pick 1 or 2 persons and ask some questions. But before we start, because Ms. Bullitt may have a different version of the book. Please call out the next 2 chapters in your book for me.
For 3 and 4?
Yeah, what is the topic on 3?
International standards. International
Right,
standards.
international standards.
Yes.
Okay.
Chapter 4 is the Bahamian legal system.
And the Bahamian legal
Right.
system. Okay, yeah. Okay, because I have one 2018 version. I sure it was switched. Okay, that's fine. Okay, thank you for that. Trinette, you still have your hand up. You have a question? No? Okay.
Oh, no, I don't. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so let me just see who was listening to Miss Bullitt last week, who studied after Miss Bullitt did all that talking. I just asked 1 or 2 questions randomly. Let's see. Who did we hear from today? Keva Pierre. Can you give me the 3 stages of money laundering from chapter 1?
Okay, there's 3 stages, if I could remember, is placement, layering, and integration. Saying it out of my
Okay.
head.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. And Taylor Pratt, explain to me what placement is, please. Is Taylor there?
Okay, hi, good night.
Good night.
Okay, so placement is where I guess the criminal takes the funds from illegal activity and place it back into the financial system or center.
Okay, very, very good, very good. Thank you. And Shante, what is integration?
Integration is basically the last step of money laundering where the
Okay, we lost you, Shante.
you can hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so integration will be the last step of money laundering. That's where the funds, the illegal funds have already passed through the financial systems and persons are trying to get it back out of the bank. So they'll probably get like loans or they'll buy some type of assets to use the funds for. So it's going back into the economic system.
Okay, very, very good. Okay, and Renee, we said that there were 21 crimes under money laundering. Can you give me 3 of those crimes, please?
Predicate crimes could be fraud, theft, drug dealing, counterfeiting.
Okay, and what is the popular case that we know about counterfeiting?
The George Floyd case.
Okay, Mario was listening. Okay, very good, very good, very good. Okay, let me see, who else didn't I hear from today? The Shea terrorists, they need financing to finance their purposes and carry out their objectives. So tell me, what are some of their objectives? The Shea, is the Shea there? No? Okay. Savannah, what are some of their objectives?
To intimidate the population.
Right,
No.
that's the definition, but look at page 13 or right on, the first page of chapter 2. What are some of the objectives?
The objective of terrorism is to intimidate population or
No, that's the definition. That's the definition. We want the objectives. Go down further.
On the same page?
Yeah, so terrorist organizations need financing for a wide variety of purposes: recruitment, training, weapons, travel,
extortion.
A safe haven. No, that's their objectives. How do they achieve these objectives? Is through extortion, through robbery, through smuggling. Right. Okay, very good. Right, very good. Okay, and we all know about Bin Laden network, right? We will make sure of that strong Bin Laden network. So what is a very popular question on the exam? I think it should be on page 23 or 24 in your book. There's a table that does a comparison between terrorist financing and money laundering. So it tells you that the motivation for money laundering versus the motivation for terrorist financing. And it says that it's ideological, right, for terrorist financing. And for money laundering, it's to gain profit, right? And so normally an exam question, very popular one, would ask you the difference between the two. So you will talk about source of funds, you will talk about the money trail, and you'll talk about the motivation, okay? And you all should see that on page 23 or 24. Do we see that?
Sorry, could you say that one more time, please?
Yes.
There is a chart on page 23 or 24.
23.
Yeah, okay. It tells you the differences between money laundering and terrorist financing. And I said this is normally a very popular question on the final exam, where you compare and contrast the differences between terrorist financing and money laundering. So it talks about the motivation. Money launderers need to make profit. Terrorist financing is ideological. This is our belief, right? And then it goes on to talk about the source of funds and the transactions and the money trail. Okay, so that's a good chart to help you iron out the differences. Okay.
All right.
Okay, good. Okay, and so I don't know if does everybody have their book now? Because I know last week everybody didn't have their book, so we really didn't go through the book. Everybody has their book now?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Okay, so at the front, like I said, it's made up of 8 chapters. We'll discuss 2 chapters per week, very short pages, 2 or 3 pages of reading. You have to read before and come ready to have a discussion. Then you would see some colored paper at the back. And just before that colored paper, you should see an appendix. That appendix is, could be multiple choice questions, so you can practice those. Then there is colored paper where it says case 1, case 2, case 3, case 4. And so those are different excerpts from the internet. So that's why we had to, design the book that way. And so last week, I think we covered case 5 that talked about terrorism. I think in case 3 or 4, there's some more multiple choice questions that you can do in your spare time and practice. And then there are some case studies and some red flag indicators. Okay, and the red flag indicators too are popular on the exam. Okay, so we'll cover chapters 3 and 4 today, but just before we do that, we want somebody to volunteer to read on the case.
I can read. I'll read.
Okay, excellent, Savannah. Thank you so much. So it's case 1. It says, so you've just become the new money laundering officer. 5 ways to help you get started. Do all of us see that in case 1?
Page 1, you on? What page?
What page case 1 on?
Again, it's the first colored paper at the back of the book. And it should say case 1.
I see case 2.
Okay, it may be like I said, Ms. Fuller, that's an old version.
Case 1
Compliance
is
officer?
after page 66.
Okay.
Compliance officer?
1 second.
Compliance officer on case 1?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. Compliance officer is case 1. Let me know when you're ready.
Found it?
We
all found it?
Yes,
Did
ma'am.
everybody found it? Okay.
Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
Let me pull it up on the
What
screen.
page is this, please? What page is that?
Page 56.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, very good. Okay, Savannah, go ahead. And this again is there's some advice that you take along with you. Okay, go ahead.
So you just became the money laundering officer. 5 ways to help you get started. Compliance officer, a corporate official whose job is to ensure the company is complying with regulations and that its employees are complying with internal policies and procedures. Congratulations, you have just become part of what is perhaps the fastest growing, hottest profession in the world, money laundering compliance officer, MLCOS, are highly sought after professionals and quite scarce. I am certain you are already overwhelmed with both challenges and the prospects of new positions. The following 5 ideas aim to help you embark on a fruitful, exciting journey where you can learn and at the same time provide to be valuable asset to your organization. 1. Make time to understand your business. For all MLCO to be effective, he/she must make the time to really learn and understand the business he/she is trying to protect. Writing policies, suspicious reports, monitoring and training become pointless if you do not understand the environment you are in and the needs of your peers at the front line. Take time to sit with them, engage in their day-to-day activities, and make inquiries in regards to the challenges they face and issues with which they need help. Ask and be prepared to listen to what they have to say. That will help you truly understand what they are doing and how you can become a valuable and necessary partner. 2, there is no shame in training. People sometimes think that when they get to their dream job, they can avoid further training, mainly because they seem to have already proven that they are up to the challenge. I have news for you. This is not the case. There should be no shame in receiving training. Training should be continuous, even if you are repeating yourself. Trying to find training opportunities in your area, in your town, in your country, and internationally. Choose carefully and try to find those seminars seminars or workshops that would help you in the success of discharging your duties. Training can even provide with ideas for conducting your own training for your colleagues. There are many training opportunities and anti-money laundering and counter-terrorist financing, AML, CTF, but there are also more specialized ones about the role of the MLCO and writing MLC reports. It is important to realize and appreciate that costs for such training are very small when compared to personal benefits you will receive, and more importantly, for your organization. 3, seek resources outside of your immediate environment. Do not concentrate just on, hello? My headphones in.
Hi, we're here,
Oh,
we're here.
Okay.
Okay. If you want to stop and we could get somebody else to read to help, that's fine. You want to do that?
I can finish.
Sorry? We're getting a lot of background noise.
I could read.
I could read.
Okay, you can go.
Okay, all right, thank you. Go ahead, Nathan. Yeah, it's just for, wherever she stopped.
All right. Number 3. Seek resources outside of your immediate environment. Do not concentrate on just the local legislation and the relevant regulatory guidelines or directives. Those are obviously important, but they are not enough. It is equally, if not more important, to broaden your horizons. The European anti-money laundering directives apply across all of Europe, so you will find that there is more guidance out there that will help you understand your duties and how to be more effective. There is also useful guidance from US regulators, the Hong Kong Monetary Authority, Australia, New Zealand, and more. Just use Google search. A number of professional bodies also offer free subscription newsletters on Know Your Customer and AML, as well as general compliance and ethic matters. The MLCO role requires a lot of critical thinking and analysis, and accordingly, I would advise you to set up your own library of guidance notes, training materials, presentations, articles, and case studies. Organize these into folders and refer to them when you are uncertain about a situation or when you feel like confirming something before you make a business decision or provide advice. Also, there are some useful and current books on AML and CTF, as well as general compliance management. They can be helpful both as a tool to get you started, but also as a reference from time to time. Number 4, memberships to professional organizations. Nowadays, one can find quite a few professional membership organizations for AML compliance professionals. One of the best ones to subscribe to is the Association of Certified Anti-Money Laundering Specialists, ACAMS. Becoming a member of one or more of these organizations opens the doors to abundant resources and practical tools to help you perform your duties and excel in what you do. Some of these organizations also offer training opportunities, seminars, and conferences you can attend to become and stay current with what is happening in the AML world. Specifically, ACAMS offer the CAMS certification, the gold standard in AML certifications, and also organizes a number of conferences in Europe and the rest of the world. These are especially useful to anti-financial crime professionals. Number 5, network. Attending relevant conferences in your country or abroad is a great way to meet with your peers. Networking is very important in today's fast-paced environment. It is vital to exchange ideas, to share resources and experiences, and to seek help. Many of the professional membership organizations described offer local chapters or forums where members can gather and organize relevant and specialized trainings, exchange ideas on the way they do things, and even have fun together. Also, social media is very important. Use LinkedIn or even Facebook and Twitter to follow professional bodies and professional membership organizations that share important news as they happen. You can then share what you have learned with your colleagues. Your colleagues will appreciate the valuable and relevant information you provide. Contrary to popular belief, MLCOs can be an exciting, popular, and innovative person and a valuable asset to her colleagues and their organization. Remember to be open and welcoming and embrace the challenges and prospects of your position and be prepared to make a difference. You don't want me to read who wrote it, right? On.
No, that's fine. Okay, thank you very much. Excellent job, Savannah and Nathan. Thank you for that. Okay, so just a few things. Of course, start your library, especially if you're going to go all the way to ICA. Persons always call back, Ms. Bullet, can I borrow the intro book? Can I borrow the intermediate book? Keep your books, keep your library, because remember, compliance is decision-based. So you do research, you call a few people in your network, and you try to make the best decision possible, and you date it, because the same decisions that we made during the pandemic may not be the same decisions we made once the pandemic is over. And nobody's gonna remember, oh, I made this decision on that day because of the pandemic, okay? So document, keep your library, organize it. Don't be like Ms. Bullet, have the books and the papers. I used to have to dig up for 2 days to find one thing. So y'all organize it, okay? And keep it good. When it talks about ACAMS being the gold standard, ACAMS is the US version. We are the UK version. Now, I consider, ACAMS has a lot of online training, very helpful. They write a lot of information. They're very good at, training. However, in terms of the ACAMS diploma, like I said, it's US based. And we are UK, ICA is UK based, and I just feel that ACAMS is like a watered down version. So ICA is longer because it covers more information. So I have 2 persons taking ACAMS, and they came to both intermediate and intro, and then they switched to ICA, okay? Because they said they weren't being taught anything that they learned in this class, and they found it more useful. We are common law just like the UK, so it's more applicable. And then when we get to ICA, I do not teach the UK law, I teach Bahamian law. So I replace all of the book that they send down that's UK based with Bahamian law, which helps for you to perform when you're at work. So it's really up to you, but I support the ICA. And then again, networking. We covered that. I can't say it enough. So yeah, we should know how important networking is. Okay, so just a few tips. And I noticed now the ICA program used to be just AML and compliance. It's now been expanded to 9 months of AML and 9 months of governance, risk, and compliance. And so it's heavy on the not being seen as the police or the gatekeeper, but as the coach, as the mentor, developing soft skills, being approachable, making sure that people are not afraid of you, making sure that you have that open door policy, and just developing the right interpersonal skills. Okay, so we don't want to be walking around the organization, with everybody afraid of us. They must be respectful of the position, but feel that you are approachable and feel that you are confidential. Okay, so don't be in them little grapevine cliques. They say, oh Lord, we can't tell Miss Bullet nothing. The world will know. You might as well put it on CNN. Okay, so be mindful of all of that. Okay, guys, so very good, very good. So we'll cover chapter 3 now. We'll just get into the right page that talks about international standards. Now, we looked at the 40 recommendations already. Remember when I pulled it up, and I'll pull it up again, just so we are all on the same page, because by now, we all should be following the FATF, right? And so we want to pull up the FATF, and again, go to their website and follow them, right? So this is the FATF website. So we want to do our best to follow them. And they should have a subscription button somewhere to the bottom, or contact us, or find a way to subscribe and get their latest updates. So in the search bar, we want to say 40 recommendations. We're looking for the most current, because when you go to Google, Google will pull up the old versions first. So, oh, I put the S, that's what happened. Yeah, so Google will pull up the most, the oldest version. So remember when we looked at it, I said it's important to check the date. So make sure that you check the date, and you want to ensure that you are familiar with the 40 recommendations. I'm just trying to get my version up on the screen. There it is. Okay, so there are international regulators, the FATF, the CFATF, the IMF, the World Bank, the Basel Committee, the Wolfsburg Group. And so we consider them international regulators. And so these international regulators, they put out recommendations for the world. However, if countries do not follow these recommendations, then of course we are blacklisted. Okay. Another popular question on the exam will ask you about the tasks of the FATF, and then they ask you about who are the regulators. So they would want you to know some international regulators as well as some local regulators. So like I said, the FATF, they put up these 40 recommendations. Now my copy says 2019. Your copy should be saying 2022. Okay, and then you go to the table of contents and you look for whatever topic, operational law enforcement. Like I said, these are very long documents. You get overwhelmed if you try to read all of it. What happens with compliance is that you end up having mass information overload. Okay, so the FATF, you can look at it as an umbrella. The FATF is at the top. So is the IMF, the CFATF, the World Bank, the UN. They are the international regulators. Then they take recommendations and other policies, procedures, and they put it into Bahamian law. Then each regulator takes out the portions that are applicable to their industry. For instance, gaming will take out the ones that are applicable to gaming, the ones that are applicable to the banks, to the Securities Commission, and so on. So international standards, Bahamian law, then the regulator creates a guideline. Remember last week we looked at the central bank guideline. This is for banks. And then in your institution, there should be an anti-money laundering policy. That should be a carbon copy of what your regulator has in place. Okay, so international law, Bahamian law, policies and procedures from your local regulator, and then your anti-money laundering policy. Is everybody familiar with their anti-money laundering policy at their institution?
No, ma'am.
Okay, find it. If what in the financial services sector, it's required by law. Okay, and each staff member should know it. If you know it may be being updated, but please find out about it. Or in the absence of one internally in the organization,
What is called
please go to
financial
your regulator.
policies?
No,
What is it called?
anti-money laundering. It should be called the anti, whatever your regulator calls it. So are you a bank? See,
No.
okay, so this says, okay, where do you work?
Bahamas Air.
Okay, yeah, so Bahamas Air will have some the aviation policies related to Bahamas Air. You see what I mean? And if you
And probably on the IATA.
Right, right. And so there should still be a prevention of money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism and a proliferation definitely through the airlines, especially after, you know, September 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, so look under the aviation. They should have some laws online.
So Ms. Bullard, what about the ones in the law firm?
Ones are that, sorry?
In the law firm. So just ask for the policy?
No, okay, let me show you. In the law firm, the law firms are regulated by the Compliance Commission. So we want to go to, sorry, 1 second. We want to go to the Compliance Commission. Okay. So let's just see, because, you know, sometimes, you know, various institutions use different terminology. So this is the Compliance Commission. This is the regulator for law firms that have a corporate service providers arm or provide financial services. If you are at a law firm that just does criminal law, this would not be applicable to you.
No, corporate.
Okay, this right, corporate. Okay, so under the, we see that under the banks, this is what central bank calls it, guidelines for supervised financial institution.
Yes,
we are under the Securities Commission. And so the the Compliance Commission, who regulates.
Ms. Bullard, your internet is going in and out.
Law firms, accounting firms, and who is it? Real estate agents. Sorry. So here it is. Can you all see the screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay, so there's a code of practice for lawyers, codes of practice for accountants, codes of practice for real estate brokers, codes of practice for dealers in precious metal and precious stone. And so that's who the Compliance Commission regulates. So we want to pull up this code of practice for lawyers. And here it is, 113 pages, more than the bank.
Who governs civil law, criminal law, Ms. Bullard?
What's the probably there are some laws out there, and then the Bar Association should have which laws are applicable on the criminal law side. Okay, so look at the Bar Association. Okay, so codes of practice for lawyers, and there's the anti-money laundering, countering terrorist financing, countering proliferation, and identified risks. And of course, like I said, we're looking. Okay, they are the table of contents for whatever you are looking for. Okay, but if you work in a law firm and you are regulated by the Compliance Commission, this should be your Bible. Your law firm should have a carbon copy of this based on the services and the products that they offer. Okay, and so you should follow everything that this is.
So just, Ms. Bullard, so just ask.
Sorry, somebody. Yeah, anti-money laundering code of practice, because that's what they call it, codes of practice. Or anti-money laundering policy and procedure. And if they say they don't have one, you better download this, because in a minute or two, they're going to have to copy this and put this in place and send it out to the staff. So you'll just be ahead of them.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. And then on the Insurance Commission, they call it something else. On the Securities Commission, but always if you just look for anti-money laundering, should be a common factor, whether they call it a procedure, a policy, or a code. Okay, good. Okay, so find out about your internal one. Okay, good. So back to the international
Ms. Velez, I have a
regulators.
question.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
Does all companies have compliance officers? Supposed to? I mean, like
All
corporate companies, like big companies.
All companies that are regulated are required to have an MLRO on staff. Okay, and so that's a money laundering reporting officer or money laundering compliance officer. Okay, so if they are regulated, so you have to find out who is your regulator. So we just saw under the Compliance Commission, law firms, accounting firms, real estate firms. Okay, most organizations have like an association or somebody who governs them, or they report to, or there are standalone laws in place that govern that particular industry. But your policy should say it. Okay? Like on the front, and when we get to chapter 4, it's very short, but you will see that the central bank guidelines tell you this is the anti-money laundering framework, and these are the laws that we are governed by. Okay, so your policy, procedure, your handbook should tell you something about who regulates your industry, and if you do something wrong, who will be there to give you a fine, or who will be there to shut you down. Okay? And most of them probably just fall under like the business license, because the business license too, they don't really regulate, but they ensure that you have proper approvals in place in order to carry out that business, proper training, proper education. I don't know if I was sharing the screen to show you. Yeah, see, this is where the central bank guidelines tells you we are governed by these laws. Okay, so all these laws include these 40 recommendations that the FATF came out with. Okay, so the book goes on to talk about the FATF being established in 1989. It's an intergovernmental body whose purpose is to establish international standards, develop and promote policies, both national and international, to combat money laundering and the financing of terrorism and proliferation. And then it goes on to tell you that they perform a specific task. And I think this is one of the homework. Okay, and like I said, this is another popular on the final exam. What are the tasks of the FATF? They set international standards. They monitor compliance with those standards. They promote worldwide application of the FAT standards through FATF-style regional bodies. And the CFATF is one of those FATF-style regional bodies. Because of course, these recommendations are for the world. I think there's about 195 countries around the world that fall under these standards. So of course, there's an Asian group that deals with Asia. There's an African group. There's the Caribbean group that the Bahamas falls under. Very popular multiple choice question. Okay, the Bahamas is a part of the CFATF. Okay, and in the past, Carl Bethel, Attorney General, was the chairman of the CFATF because we were getting blacklisted over and over again. And our argument as the Bahamas was that, no matter what laws we put in place, y'all consider us the competition. So y'all are trying to wipe us out as the competition. And so therefore, the Bahamas took a staggered approach because we were a tax haven, a lot of offshore banks closed, policy and procedures expensive, creating these compliance department, training, buying systems, all of that is expense. So we took a staggered approach so we don't shut out the industry, trying to get all these people to put these regulations in place back in 2000. So here it is in 2018, we finally get all the laws updated. We are one of the countries to have 40 out of 40 compliant, and we just achieved that in November of 2022. Initially, when they did their assessment, we were deficient in 22 of the 40 recommendations. And so we repealed and revamped all our laws in 2018 to get 40 out of 40, okay? And so that's the FATF and the CFATF, okay? They study methods and trends of money laundering and terrorist financing so they can create controls to protect the financial service system. Okay, and then there's the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. It says the IMF was established in 1945 as a specialized agency of the United Nations within the framework of the Bretton Woods Accord. Okay, the World Bank Group provides financing, policy advice, and technical assistance to governments, and also focuses on strengthening the private sector in developing countries. And if you look across the page, this was a process timeline when they came in 2018 to conduct a financial sector assessment, to look at our laws and to say exactly which ones were in place, which ones were not in place, and what needed to be updated. Go ahead, Bernice.
Yes, as it relates to the IMF, where do they get all of the money from to lend to other nations?
Well, probably from the Rockefeller,
Mm.
you know, from these different billionaires. I'm sure they have investments, but you know, that's a very good question, Bernice. We'd have to Google that to find out. So yeah, we'll Google that and we'll come back next week and discuss it. Where all this money coming from?
The interest on the IMF loans are super crazy now. Remember, you don't ever be getting loans from the IMF on the World Bank.
And then we've been in the deficit from 1973, from we first started borrowing till now, we're still in the deficit. So
I was a baby.
Can't forget.
They're making crazy money on loans, probably. So we'll Google that, where this money is coming from. Okay, but then when they came in 2018, what they said was that our disaster recovery plan needed to update. And so this is another popular question on the final exam. So they came in, they did an assessment, and they said, you know, normally when auditors come in before they leave, we don't want a bad audit note. So we try to fix things so that we're not left with a bad audit note. And so immediately, I think the F&M government was in place in 2018, and they said our disaster recovery plan is not sufficient. And so there's this international insurance that the Bahamas used to pay for under the PLP government, and it's $900,000 per year. So we had Hurricane Joaquin, and I think Long Island got a lot of damage, and we tried to claim off that insurance, and they said, well, we only pay for excessive rain. Then we had Hurricane Matthew, and they said, well, it was in a category 5. So we tried to claim twice under the PLP, and we kept getting turned around. So the PLP decided that that's a waste of time. We might as well save that $900,000 each year. And if we have a disaster, yeah, we'll have that saved. However, when the IMF came in and they said, fix this before we leave, we said, okay, we're going to fix our disaster relief plan. So we immediately paid that insurance for $900,000. We went to the IDB, the International Development Bank, and we established a line of credit for, I think, $1 million or $1 billion. And then we changed our dormant fund laws. And so what we did find out was that there were $88 million worth of dormant funds at the central bank. Everybody knows what dormant funds are, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Okay, good.
No, ma'am.
Jesus.
No? Okay, somebody who
No.
knows, Nathan, tell them what dormant funds are.
Funds that haven't been utilized in a while, like funds, like let's say someone died, they had a bank account at RBC or what have you, and no one I guess I could have used the funds because the person died. It's been there for a while. Definitely goes back to the treasury after some time.
Yeah,
would-
after 7 years, the bank is only allowed to keep it
Yes.
for 7 years, and then they have to send it to central bank.
Correct.
Can I add
Right.
something to Ms. Bullard? Because I know Nathan said that somebody died. There's also persons who are alive and touch their accounts, no activity for 7 years as well.
Right.
And goes to central bank as well, and then the
What?
bank will have to request, yes, if you don't touch your account, you have
Not
to
my
get
money
credit.
for 7 years. I got
That's
money in the bank
automatic.
and
You have
ain't
no
touched
choice
it.
of that. The bank
No.
is obligated to send it to central bank. And then the
But
bank.
do they,
Sorry.
but do they inform their clients that after 7 years, you don't touch this money?
Yeah.
What can
Yeah,
happen?
that should
Because
be on
I
their
never remember that happened to me.
No.
They do because we
fine
send out
print.
letters. We actually send out letters to
print.
say that your account is being charged dormant fees. So that's a notice to you as well. That you have to come pay these fees and make your account active and bring up your KYC and update your
Pay
account.
what fees? They deduct the fees of their
Yes,
account.
dormant fees. There's the dormant fees.
So
every
yes,
month
it's
once your
take that.
account is
They
dormant,
take it, they don't tell you nothing.
fees are coming
Yes,
up.
when you open an account, if you read the general terms and conditions, it's there, but we just don't read.
No, we
Okay, so
don't.
it's right there
Miss-
on your
Put
account
it in
opening.
writing.
document.
Miss Bullard?
Yes.
So me being a CSO, customer service officer who deals with opening of accounts, whether it be savings, checking, business, fix, all that, I tend to inform my clients, hey, after 3 months,
Right away, right?
your account goes in inactive if you do not perform anything. After 6 months, it is closed. If I just even encourage them, hey, put if only $1 on it to
Okay.
keep it going.
Okay.
They
So-
just need to see some form of activity going on the account to let them know this person is still capable of maintaining the account. I let all my clients know as I open up their account, only $1. You could find $1.
Right. So very good, Elkin. So over the years, this seems to be very popular, especially in the offshore world. A lot of people hid money here back in the day because they didn't want to pay taxes, and when the laws changed, they were too afraid to bring it back home. They would pay more of it to the government, so they just left it. Some people got married and was hiding money from their husband or wives. They just left it, and then, like Nathan said, some people died, and people just did not know about the money. So to the sum of $88 million. Okay. And so what the Bahamas did was they said that, well, the bank is going to keep it for 7 years and then transfer it to central bank. And I think it's about 3 years that the central bank will keep it. So that'll be a total of 10 years, no contact. And then it belongs to the Bahamas government. And so because of that 88 million that we already had, that was over 10 years, they changed the law and said it now belongs to the government. And they assigned $44 million from the dormant funds to the disaster relief fund. So we paid the 900,000 insurance. We got the line of credit with the IDB, and we had $44 million worth of dormant funds. This was 2018. And so the IMF left satisfied that we had a good disaster relief plan in place. Now y'all tell me what happened in September of 2019.
Hurricane Dorian.
Hurricane Dorian.
Right.
Okay. The very first hurricane category 5 in 82 years and excessive rain. So the two reasons that we didn't get the last time, we got all in once. So we were able to collect, I think, $14 million for excessive rain and $11 million for category 5 or vice versa. Okay. And so normally we look at the international regulators as nothing we could do to please them. They're trying to wipe us out as the competition because the Bahamas is very, popular for offshore banking. But this time they really saved us because, even though we still had a lot of detriment from Dorian, and if we did not have that plan in place, we would have gone under. Okay, so that's a popular question. What did the IMF do? Yes?
You trying to say the government like $25 million from the Dorian disaster relief thingy, and then people still inside of there.
People, you forget the whole electricity in Abaco was going
But $25 million though?
That's a joke. I think the electricity and the water alone cost that, or more than that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, that was a joke. That was like a drop in the bucket compared to the billions of dollars of damage.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, okay, but read upon it, okay? So yeah, so international regulators, Bahamian law, local regulators, Securities Commission, Central Bank, the Compliance Commission, and then your internal policy. Okay, so that's how it works. Okay, any questions on chapter 3? No, it's clear as mud. We
I have a
understand their
question.
tasks and we understand who they are. Sorry, Sherry.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
On page 30, the process and timeline.
Right,
This is
so
in reference
that
to-
is just in the book to show you when the IMF came in to meet with the central bank to go over our FSAP and to start our what do you call it, mutual evaluation report. And so we had a lot of you know, they gave an overview of the Bahamas in a consultation paper, so that just is there as an example of when they came in, what they told us about our disaster recovery and how quickly we acted. That's just the assessment that they did back in 2018. Okay, just an example. Okay, good. Any other questions? Okay. Okay, so we'll go over to chapter 4 that talks about laws and regulations. So we met the international regulators. Now it's Bahamian law. And so there's an anti-money laundering and terrorist financing and proliferation framework. It's made up of what? Is it 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 laws. Laws are not in layman's terms. They are very lengthy. They use words like instrumentalities. I think this is 2 laws that I have up on the screen. The purpose of the laws are to outline the crime of money laundering. They outline terrorism financing. They create a regulator to oversee compliance, and they create a government agency to receive suspicious transactions. And that's the FIU, right? The Financial Intelligence Unit. So embodied in these 8 laws that make up our framework, what's involved or the purpose of these laws, okay, to protect the financial services sector. Okay, so 2 of the most popular ones, of course, is the FTRA and then the Proceeds of Crime Act. And again, I always say, go to the table of contents and look up what you're looking for. And so I think we should look up failure to disclose and tipping off, because again, when we are onboarded to new institutions, we don't read, okay? And once you work in the financial services sector, you cannot fail to disclose and you cannot tip off, okay? And so we want to read what is failing to disclose. And so we see that it falls under identified risk. And we want to look at the penalties. Again, this is another popular question on the final exam. This is normally multiple choice. Persons always get it wrong and the penalty is the same, but we want to look at the law. So it says it's on page 19. We're going to scroll to page 19. And who was the 3rd person who had volunteered to read? Is that person still here?
I can read.
I am. I can read.
Okay. Okay, go. I can't see who said I can read, but go ahead. The first person that said I can read.
Which page again?
19, I scroll into it, it's on the screen. Okay, so we can get familiar. Okay, so we want to see that failure to disclose is verse, this means verse like this, the Bible. Section 13, and tipping off is section 14. And like I said, when you're onboarded to a new institution in the financial services sector, you actually sign off and say, I agree not to fail to disclose, and I agree not to tip off. And so it tells you if you do tip off and if you do fail to disclose, what the penalties are. Okay, so go ahead, my reader. Failure to disclose by a nominated officer.
Okay, so failure to disclose by nominated officers. Number one, a nominated officer commits an offense if A, the nominated officer knows or suspects or has reasonable grounds for knowing or suspecting that another person is engaged in money laundering or an identified risk activity. B, any information or other matter on which the knowledge or suspicion of the nominated officer is based or which gives reasonable grounds for such knowledge or suspicion him to him in consequence of a disclosure made under Section 19, subsection 1, subsection A, and C, he does not make the required disclosure as soon as is practicable after the information or other matter comes to him. 2, for the purposes of this section, a required disclosure is a disclosure of the information or other matter, A, to a focal point officer, B, in the form and manner, if any, prescribed for by the Financial Intelligence Unit. 3, a person does not commit an offense under this section if he has a reasonable excuse for not disclosing information or other matter. Ms.
Okay, so
Pollack.
now, wait 1 second. Yeah, so this is why I say the lawmakers should go to jail, right? So there in the industry, the FIU has complained a million times that banks are not filing their suspicious transactions. FinCEN is an organization in United States that analyzes suspicious transaction reports. FinCEN was hacked by BuzzFeed. There's a big report out where persons were filing suspicious transaction reports 160 days after it occurred. They couldn't find no evidence. They made a lot of mistakes over the suspicious transaction report, and there was a whole lot of garbage that happened, and it was all leaked to the media. So of course, the FIU blame the banks and the financial service sector, and the banks and the financial service sector blame the FIU. But I blame this law, okay? Because this says you already overwork and underpaid. As soon as it's practicable to file a report, like really, you really think people could ever think it was practicable? And then guess what? You don't even commit an offense if you have a reasonable excuse. So tell Ms. Bullitt what your reasonable excuse could be that you saw what was happening at FTX and you did not blow the whistle or file a SDR report. What was your reasonable excuse? So it's just too vague. So to me, they just updated this law in 2018, but are we really going to take this serious? Because everybody can have a reasonable excuse and everybody can say be overworking underpaid. Okay, so that's my problem with this law. Okay, let's read tipping off.
Okay, tipping off. A person commits an offense if A, he knows or suspects that 1, any disclosure under this part has been made, or 2, an action has been taken by the Financial Intelligence Unit in relation to anything under this part, and B, he makes a disclosure to another person which is likely to prejudice any investigation which might be conducted following the disclosure referred to in paragraph A1 or A2.
Okay, all right, so that's failing to disclose, that is tipping off. Now, when it comes to the penalties, this is where everybody gets confused because they automatically go to the first penalty. But if you look at it, it says a person who commits an offense under sections 9 to 11. That's not section 9 to 11. This is 13 and 14. So it's not 15, 1 A and B. It's 15, 2 A and B for the penalty. So please when you look back at this, do not get confused. Read Bahamas Read, and you see where it says a person who commits an offense under sections 12 to 14 is liable, and we're talking about 13 and 14. Okay, somebody had their hand raised?
Yes, Ms. Bullard, I have a question. In the case of, okay, let's talk about FTX. Who's the person who should have reported to the regulator that all this stuff was going on? Because I mean, if they're purchasing properties in excess of $1 million and all that stuff, they had to have provided some information as a source of funds and all that other stuff. So what I'm trying to figure out is who was supposed to be the person who conducting these transactions for them to alert the regulator and say, hey, listen, these people doing A, B, C, X, Y, Z. I think you all need to take a look at them, because I think they kind of drag their feet. And the thing is, the regulator,
Oh, they were on, if you watched Dirty Money, they were unqualified. Simple as that. They didn't even know the risks associated with cryptocurrency. They didn't have sufficient experience nor education to have that position. So you tell me who you think, who keeps the organization compliant?
The organization. Yeah, there
The
wouldn't be the
compliance
regulators.
officer.
Who's that?
The compliance officer.
Yeah, there you go.
Did they
So
have a
the
compliance
money
officer?
laundering? They did, because in order for you to get your business license or your banking license or any license, you have, that's one of the requirements. You have to have a senior official 1, a senior official 2, and an MLRO in place, a money laundering reporting officer in place. Remember, that's a regulated function that is approved by the regulator. And then you have to register with the FIU. So you can't get a license without that. Okay? So that's the MLRO job. But compliance is everybody's business. Somebody should have blown the whistle because there were too many infractions.
Yeah.
All the account officers, all the people who's answer the phone, the number of complaints. Come on. We using QuickBooks, a $32 billion company. Come on, too many red flags. Everybody should be the jail, or every staff member. Because they, again, untrained, inexperienced. And when we go to audit, that's the first thing we do. We pull out everybody's resume. When there's a problem in the department, we pull out everybody's resume. We say, do we have sufficient experience? Do we have sufficient education? No, somebody got to go home, or we got to move some people around. Or we say, listen, you've been here for 20 years. We give you 2 years to go get your ICA diploma. You cannot be in the compliance department if you don't have this ICA diploma. You cannot hold this position. Okay? So, you know, the regulators are working with enforcement now. They even had to create an analytics department. They could, you know, hired a lot of people to enforce, okay, and build relationships with these organizations. So, you know, a lot of people been to jail. A lot of us who don't have no money and who can't afford to see it on our way. You better be able to explain yourself, okay? And you better blow the whistle and start talking. Because if you don't have no money, you could be on the jail list. Because the big boys, they don't go to jail. And that's why I want y'all to have the awareness training. Okay, so let's scroll down to section 2. Okay, continue reading and tell us the penalty. Now, this is a popular, very popular multiple choice question. People is guess and get one wrong. Stop it, study and get the 2 right, please, and make Miss Bullet proud. Go ahead, read the penalty, please.
A person who commits an offense under sections 12 to 14 is liable, A, on summary conviction to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 12 years or to a fine not exceeding $500,000 or to both, or B, on conviction on indictment to imprisonment for a term not exceeding 20 years or to a fine or to both.
Okay, so who gonna go sit up in jail for 20 years for their company? Which one of y'all?
Not
Which
me.
one of y'all who don't know your job description And who don't know your AML policy? Who could do it? All right. Compliance is everybody's business. Ultimately, the MLRO is responsible, but they used to only lock up the compliance officer. When they changed the law, the receptionist could go to jail. The person who's sweeping the floor, if they didn't know, they could go to jail too. Okay? Everybody's business if you work in the financial services sector.
Sorry, Ms. Booker. What was the name of that law we just read?
POCA, Proceeds of Crime Act.
Thank you.
And again, when you Google it, the 2002 version is gonna come up. The first thing you look for is the date. Okay, you see, Proceeds of Crime Act 218. The dates are very important. I had somebody write a 3,500 word essay on a 2002 law, and they had to redo it or they would have failed. Okay, so please, the dates are very important.
Thank you.
Okay, good, you're welcome. Okay, so in these laws, we see something called the Travelers Currency Declaration Act. Anybody know what that is? No?
That's for
Okay.
when persons are traveling out of the country, they have to declare whatever funds that they're carrying once it's over $10,000, and they have to say where they get it, the source of the funds.
Okay, very good, very good. And as we see, the law has been in place from 2015, and we didn't have to completely repeal and replace it. We only had to amend it, right? And so why we had to amend it is for many years, again, the US required you to declare $10,000, but not the Bahamas. And so I don't know if any of you know about on the domestic section, you can go to
Cuba, Jamaica, Panama.
You can go to Canada, you can go to Jamaica, right?
Yeah.
And so my good doctor decided to run away back to Jamaica, and Mussy was leaving her husband and running away with all the money. So she had $200,000 in cash, right? And she went to the domestic side to go on Air Jamaica. And so she put her suitcase through the little trolley thing, and it started to beep off, and they searched it, and they saw this $200,000 in cash. And immediately they arrested her, and they took the money. So her husband used to be a politician back in the day, and they say, oh, you know, the PLP was in power then, and they say, oh, they cover it up, but they really didn't cover it up, because the law said if you were traveling to the US, you were to declare 10,000 or more. The Bahamas law did not say it. Again, a little loophole. And so, of course, America ensured that we updated that. So they had to give her back her money, and she left the country and she never returned. Okay? And so, of course, that showed a big red flag in our law. And so when we amended it, we said, Bahamian law now requires you to declare $10,000. So even if you're traveling in the group, you must know, you know, who is in the group with you, and if they have more than 10,000. If you are 5 and they are 5, you best declare. And again, they only want to know to ensure that you are not money laundering. They probably could do a little background check, but then you take your money. But if you don't declare, you get arrested, you get fined, and they confiscate your money. And if you read the newspaper, most recently, I think they are working with the casinos, because the last case that I saw was some guys were here at the Bahama on spring break. They won $30,000 gambling in the casino, which was very legal. They were going back to Canada. They went through that domestic side and did not declare. They broke up the money, so each person had $4,000 or $5,000. So that was confiscated, and then they were charged $1,500. So Ms. Buller's like, oh Lord, somebody pimped them off. 2 weeks later, I pick up the newspaper again. Somebody else from Atlantis won $60,000, did not declare, was fined, and the money was confiscated. Okay, so they're working with the casinos. If you win from Island Luck, make sure you declare. And if you're traveling with a group, make sure everybody understands that the law has changed, okay? And declare so you do not get into any trouble. All right? Okay, so that's all Ms. Bullitt have to say about the laws and chapter 3 and 4. Are there any questions?
I have a question, Fuller.
Go ahead.
If you declare the funds, that's at the airport when they ask you and you declare the funds, what do they do at that point? Is the investigation taken done at the same time?
I don't know what they do, Sherry, but I imagine they just document it to see if every month or every week you come and do, or they may ask you, where did you get it from? And you may have to show your receipt. You know, they're just making sure that you own money laundering, because a lot of people come in on cruise ships and stuff like that. And
You
they
have
got
that documentary evidence to say where you got the money from.
So, right, so if, okay, like, I agree. So if it
Yeah, but you got it from the casino, because I think the
I have a
casino
receipt from
pay,
that,
they
or some
pay in
insurance.
US currency as well.
So I would have something from the insurance and the casino saying that this are my funds, I guess it's documented, and then they let me go through.
Yeah. So if you want doing no criminality, don't hide it and don't get yourself in trouble. Okay? And it ain't really safe, but I know what I used to do is I have a Bank of America. I would take my cash and put it immediately on Bank of America and then use my card and stay. So they ain't really safe to travel with a lot of money like that. So, you know, just be careful and declare. So they don't even hold the people across the TV. Y'all ain't gonna see Miss Bullet handcuffed no more. Okay, so don't worry about it. Yeah, just don't get no trouble. Okay. Okay. Any other questions?
I have a question, Ms. Bala, but it's not pertaining to that.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
With the essay questions, I know you said we have to turn them in on the app called Turnitin.
Sorry?
In regards
I
to
didn't hear the
homework,
question.
sorry, in regards to homework assignments, with the essay, which is due on the 30th, am I correct?
Yes, it's due every Monday. One should be done.
Right.
So the next one is the 30th,
Right, and so that is to be turned in on Turnitin, right?
No, send it to my email. Yeah, you have to send it to my email before 11:59 on the 30th.
Okay, I thought we had to, I thought we had to upload it on Turnitin.
No. That's when you get the ICA.
Oh, okay, all right,
Yeah, so
thank
you just
you.
email it. You email it to me.
Thank you.
T-Bullard 1-800@gmail.com.
T Bullard
1-800@gmail.com. The same email you got the welcome note from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, Renee?
Yes, ma'am. Somehow I got a little confused. I heard what you said on last week's class, but I wanted to just be sure. Something that she said kind of made me doubt. Are we to answer all of these questions as a part of our homework, or we're just submitting to you what we want graded?
Yeah, only submit one.
Yeah.
That you want graded. You can answer all.
Understood.
Just to make sure that you understand what the question is asking and that you do your research. Because like I say, those questions can rotate on the exam. So, you know, you just want to familiarize yourself with all the questions. But
Thank
only
you for
turn
that.
in one.
Okay.
Yeah, only turn in one. Yeah, go ahead, Cherry.
Well, sorry, just to confirm, the amount of words is 1,000 to 1,200 words for each essay?
Yes, each essay.
Each, okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, good. Good, and again,
to
this is a
piggyback
good
on that question, Ms. Bullitt, what if you go over the 1,200? Is there a penalty for that?
It's not a penalty now, but it'll be a penalty in ICA. So practice what they ask for, because they take off like 15 to 20% if you go over. So practice sticking to the rules. Okay, and I hope most of you would have had the opportunity to look at how they reference, practice their referencing. Okay, because again, you lose 20 or 30% if you don't reference properly.
That was a question I had, Ms. Bullitt, sorry, with regards to referencing.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, okay, go ahead, I'm listening.
Oh, I was gonna ask you if you could explain for all of us again, referencing to make sure that we do it the right way the first time.
I
Please.
can't explain, but if you read what chapter I said read, page 17 and 18, let's pull it up. So Miss Bullet can't keep all these things in her head. So
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is their most recent handbook, September 2021. And you scroll all the way down. I think I said 17 to 20, and it talks about appendices, the use of it, why cite, what should you cite, when you should cite, and how you should cite, right? And so you want to scroll down and just read again. How many pages is this? I haven't downloaded it. So you want to go directly to those pages first. Don't get, I mean, you could read the whole handbook, but like I said, don't get overwhelmed reading the handbook, and you just read what it tells you to do. Here are a few guidance tips on appendices. What is to be included, how to reference and how to cite, and why cite. Again, everything that you write is fact checked, right? And if
Ms. Bullet, where you getting this information from?
I attached this in the welcome note.
Well, you know, she sent us.
I gotta print it out. I didn't read them.
See the welcome note, welcome to introduction in AML compliance. The very first attachment is the ICA assessment handbook, right? And then we look at the instructions. You may complete all questions, however, only one essay should be submitted. Each essay should be typed. Please don't send me an email. See the word count. Standard essay form. If you need to take a refresher in English, please call Miss Dean. She can assist you with that. Don't go to ICA not knowing proper English. And you may just need a refresher. And you see 17 to 20 in the ICA handbook on how to reference. All the information is right there. So take some time to read it and just follow the instructions. Okay?
Perfect.
Great. Any other questions?
Well, we could just send it to you just to read it.
I didn't hear you.
We could just still send the essay into you for just to read, but
yeah.
So say which one
Listen,
you want to submit.
No. Listen, if you want me to read it and tell you if you're on the right track,
yes, that's what I mean.
I can do that.
Okay.
I won't grade that one though. I won't grade that one because I've had somebody send it to me. I said, okay, you're on the right track. They send it again. I grade it. They only get 60%. They say, what's missing? I explain what's missing. Oh, let me do it again. I said, no, you can't do it again. Okay, so I am not to give you the one. And they reported me and sent me like 4 versions of the essay demanding that I, so Miss Bullet had to cut off all her little concessions. So
because I finished the first question and then I actually picked the second question.
Okay, well that's already passed. Yeah, you could send that to me. If you
the
just
30th, right? Okay.
If you just want me to read that, because you can't get a grade for this question anymore. So I can read that to you.
Ms. Velez,
That's the 30th though.
It's the 30th.
The 30th is the first question?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
the next one's on the 14th.
Oh, okay. All right.
My question due on the 14th.
Don't do that.
No, I don't want that grade. No.
One at a time. Sherry. Sherry, you sending it for a grade?
Yeah, I'm not sending it yet. I will be. But I had a question
for a grade.
For number 2. It has mandatory essay for due Monday, the 6th of February. Is that mandatory? The word supposed to be there, or that's correct?
No. Sorry, that's a mistake. Sorry, I was supposed to delete that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so excuse that word. Excuse that word. Thank you for pointing that out. Yeah, so and you can choose any one of the 4. And just follow the due date. Yeah, see, in my other class, they were having some issues And I had to make them do an extra one just to, get some grades up because they were having one or two issues. So I made them do two homeworks. So
Just to
y'all lucky, y'all only have to do
confirm,
one.
question two, Sue. To confirm, question two, do you want the 6th of February?
Yes, that's a Monday. Yeah, that's a Monday, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Sherry, you wanted to say something?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay,
Go on.
okay. Anybody else with questions? No? Okay. Okay, guys. Well, another productive class. I'm very pleased with the participation level. This just blows straight past you. I mean, 5 weeks goes very fast. Next week we'll be on our third week. Okay, so make sure you get your homework in. Make sure you get your civic organization 5% in, and most of you already have your participation points.
Miss
So
Fuller,
I'm very pleased.
Miss
Yes?
Fuller, can I talk about my civic organization meeting today?
Yeah,
Or
go ahead. Girl, let me put you on my list. Go ahead.
okay, so I went to the Kiwanis Club of Cable Beach.
So did I.
And y'all don't want these points, say, like, what y'all, when you tell me.
Hello, sorry, my hand wasn't up, but can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
This is my name is Tiania. So I went to the meeting last week. However,
Okay.
it was
Yeah, let's let Adley tell us and then we'll come back to you.
oh, okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead, Adley.
Okay, so the Kiwanis Club of Cable Beach, it was basically meeting to tell all their duties and stuff like that. They did a congratulatory certificate to two DPs. One was Alinda Bow. They talked about their programs and membership retaining initiatives, fundraising. One of the fundraising events was an event for the children hostel built by Kiwanis. Two of the programs they talked about was the youth services and two of the committees they talked about was the youth services and the membership growth and retention, membership growth and retention and education. They also require their members to sign up for at least two committees. One is service and one is administration. They also have two SLP clubs, service leadership programs, and there are 16 clubs all over Nassau.
Okay, and so what was your takeaway from the meeting?
My takeaway was that Kiwanis is about the betterment of the country because I see that most of their involvement in the community involved initiatives to helping other people and building leadership skills.
Okay, did you introduce yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, did you get any numbers on that? Do you plan to go back or join? Are you interested at all?
My
If you're
schedule
not,
does
that's
not.
fine.
My schedule
Okay, yeah.
does not permit me to join, but because I needed to do it for the class, I freed up that particular day.
Okay, so perhaps you'll be able to free up another day in another 3 months because we just want to keep you in the loop. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
try your best. Okay, so very good, excellent, Adelie, and
Thank
thank
you.
you for sharing. I think it was Major who said he also went. Was that Major?
Yes, ma'am. I attended it on Zoom.
Okay.
My takeaway, I don't remember all the person's name. It was very brief. It was like a half hour, but just as Ms. Adley expressed, it was just that my takeaway from the club is that it's very charitable. They express what they want to do with going to the hospitals and the menu they had for what the kids would eat and what's not. Um, and that's pretty much it. It was really brief. Like the meeting wasn't
Very
long at
long.
all, and I had an expectation of it being much longer. but
Okay.
that was about it.
Do you plan
Would
to attend
I,
again?
for the sake of this class, yeah,
Okay,
but
but perhaps try Toastmasters as well. You don't have to go back to our Kiwanis, but try Toastmasters. You may find that more interesting.
right.
Okay?
All right.
But you introduced yourself.
I didn't.
No,
You
Miss
didn't?
Bullard,
However, the host
Miss
did.
Marley.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Yeah, Miss Bullard, it was Sherry who they allowed to mention, you know, in respects to Biff's. The director Kimberly, yeah, she said, you know, she just welcomed us as a whole, but not individually. Since they had other Kiwanians groups there, such as Pinewood was also there. Their president, one of their past presidents who was visiting from the States, he was also there. And the piggyback off of Major, they were mentioned about their spiritual report visiting the children's hostel this Sunday, in fact, on the 29th, you know, saying that they're serving brown rice, chicken, corn, based upon, you know, the children's medical condition and, you know, the basics. And it starts at 5 o'clock, you know, so yeah.
Okay,
Taking a
okay,
lot of
very,
notes.
very
35
good.
minutes. 35 minutes.
Okay.
Ms. Berlin, I could go next, please.
Wait, let's have from Knowles. Tionia?
Yeah, just to add on, I think that was Elkin. Yeah, the meeting was very short, however, I did know one of the members in the group, and I asked a few questions outside of the meeting, and I asked her like, when do they normally meet? So they normally meet every Thursday except for the last Thursday, in which they call that family day, because realistically everybody have jobs, families, etc. So they need that time to allocate to them personal lives or whatever. So I am actually gonna attend the next meeting, which it ain't until like February, that the first Thursday in February. So that was one thing I wanted to add in case someone was interested in attending another meeting. They're not meeting they're not meeting this week, because it's the last Thursday of the month.
Okay, okay, very good. Notes, I added you to the list. Go ahead, Kevin.
All right, I wanted to piggyback. I did sit in the meeting as well last week. I think it was Tuesday, Thursday. But I did make a note that Lotta Simmons, is the president. January 29th, which is coming up, is gonna be the lunch at the hostel. They're gonna be serving brown rice, chicken, corn, and there's also a spiritual aims project coming up, as well as February 8th, the Kiwanis Club is going to be meeting at the Cable Beach. And there's also an upcoming fundraiser, fun walk. So my take, I would probably say that I know it's good for the community, and they also do a lot of outings for the kids. So yeah.
Okay, and did you see any opportunities to network?
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, okay, good, very good. All right, thank you. And I see Sherry. Sherry, you invited everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation. You want to add your 5 cents?
Yes, ma'am. I would like to say that President Lolita Simmons, she really welcomed us to the group, and she was so happy that we were there present with them. And the thing I love about the club was that, first of all, they opened up in prayer. And this group seemed to be spiritual based, because everything they do toasting to the members, and they encourage each other. And another thing I like was the happy dollars, they call it. They raise money for things that you're happy for. So a person said they were happy for life, so they donated $5. So they were happy that we came, BIFS, and also came, and so they donated $5 for that. So that's another way they used to raise money. Persons were happy for life, so they raised money for that as well. So The meeting was very short, like they say, but it's very informative, straight to the point. And so I even inquired about joining Cabanas, and I got the information about the fees and what they expect and what you have to go through in order to become a member. So I got that information as well from the meeting. So I thank Ms. Simmons for the work that they do in the community. Their selfish act and helping the less fortunate. So I mean, they're doing a great job. So I think I want to be a part of something like this. So I plan to.
Okay. Excellent, excellent, Sherry. Very good. Trinette, you still have your hand up or you have a question?
Yes, I attended Kiwanis of Cable Beach. That meeting was 2 hours long. But I did learn that, in all my years in high school, and I've been out of school 30 years, that the
The
key
meeting was
is
long.
actually sorry?
I was agreeing with you and saying the meeting was long.
Oh, yeah. I also learned that I didn't know when I was in high school that the Key Club was actually one of their outreach programs. So I learned that their past president, of course, my mentor, how do you say, Miss Maxine Leary Rose, she was also, I think they won Best Club for 2021-22, that's last year. So she was celebrating because she was the president at the time. I would love to join it, but oh boy, yeah, time is my problem. So I guess I'll have to
Okay,
jump.
once per quarter. Once per quarter, Trinette, once per quarter.
Yeah, so it's a good, I think, good organization though.
Okay, excellent, excellent. And you said something very interesting, your mentor. Do we have mentors, the rest of the group? How are we making decisions? Do we just make decisions? Are we doing research? And I'm not only talking about work decisions, I'm talking about life. The Bible says 5 areas they talk about good counsel. Are we getting good counsel? The majority of us? And are we mentoring somebody?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Sherry?
Yes, ma'am.
Bernice?
Yes.
Is Bernice there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you're mentoring or you have a mentor?
Mentoring and giving. Giving
Okay.
and yes, ma'am.
Okay, Elkin?
Ms. Bullet, I found myself as a mentor.
Without wanting to be.
I go and looking for answers and end up giving answers.
Okay, well, that's good. That's good. Like I say, 5 areas in the Bible. Okay, very good. Nathan, what about you? Mentor or mentee?
Well, I mean, you learn from people as well as you could teach people. So I'm always into learning from people. I don't have a person I could say go to, or just one person to go to as a mentor. I go to numerous people from various walks. So
yeah, me too. I normally ask 5 persons before I make any decision. 5 to get male and female to get different points of views, and then I decide.
Yeah, I'm like that somewhat too.
Okay, that's very good. Okay, so you attended a club as well?
No, but I wanted to share some advice of if for people who will be working in the area out east tomorrow about a Rotary Club out of Southeast Nassau. Their meeting is tomorrow at the Nassau Yacht Club at 1 p.m. It's an open invite, so I just wanted to share that information with the class.
Okay, very good, Nathan. Thank you for that invite. If you can just take your lunch hour, or maybe if you explain to your supervisor, I'm in a class, I'm required, may have some extra time, they may be willing. So it never hurts to ask. Okay, Lachey?
Hi, good night. Yes, I attended Rotary Club today. We had a guest speaker, Mr. Cassius Stark. I'm not sure all of you are familiar with him.
Yeah, former politician.
Right. So basically, he was speaking about the change in currency that the world is having today. Everything is going digital, and how we can prepare the youth, well, the future generations, for the next 50 years, 100 years, to deal with that digital currency change, and also wealth management, money management. He said that a lot of us are taught to consume the money, but we're not really taught to invest it. And I kind of agree with that statement as well. And as I was stating earlier, I have an interest in environmental, I support environmental awareness. And he was talking a little about the agricultural grants and whatnot that they were giving out and what the Bahamas plans to do in terms of farming based on the shipping costs and import and export costs. So that's basically what he spoke about today.
Okay, excellent, excellent, Lishay. Okay, and agriculture is going to be a very big thing. Of course, all of us should know that we are making marijuana legal, right? And so,
Supposedly.
sorry?
Supposedly.
Supposedly, right? So get all your farmland, especially in Andros, where the soil, they've been measuring the soil and testing it. And I was watching the TV the other day where somebody off Cowpen Road say, you know, the government does not take it seriously because there are no laws in place. His mangoes are stolen, his pears are stolen. He constantly have people in his farm, and when he goes to the police, you know, they take it as a joke, but they don't understand that this is livelihood, you know. So he was advocating for laws to be put in place to prosecute these persons. And I sat there and I said, well, if they thief in the mine, well, of course, you know, they thief in the mangoes and the canaps and everything. What y'all think? What type of security will we need on these marijuana farms? Like, how we keep these boys out from jumping the fence, or girls, and just taking a plant, or you need more than just a plant?
Boy, well,
What y'all think
Armed
about that?
security.
I
yeah,
agree.
yeah. As you got armed security, you got have to put up some, you know, barbs,
Yep.
wire, you know,
10-foot
fences.
walls.
They're talking about shotguns, rifles, and pistols.
Yes, so go get your security business license now and get your men trained so you can get some of these contracts, because they're gonna need heavy security if this is ever made legal.
Well, Ms. Bullard, I think it may take a turn for the better. The small man, well, what I get at is this: it takes away the urgency. Right now, it ain't legal, and persons got to do it illegally. But when it's now legal, that takes away the urgency, and I think all of the crime that it produces, I think that's gonna curb. And I think the big operations, like imagine if Super Value and City Market, those sides now to sell this, I cut out the small man too. So you
Correct. But you know, they can give
that's
the
something to
big
think
boys
about.
all the contracts.
That's what's gonna happen. Like the neighborhood dope boy, he won't be
He will
able.
get wiped out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the small man ain't gonna matter with that.
But I still think
Happening in
if the field
America.
right there, they will go thief a plant. You don't think so?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
They definitely just catch one blunt. Yeah, man. Why not?
Right. So get your security firm together. Start to look at. I think Colorado bought all the property and Willa for their farmland. So all those who have our Grammys on the island who promise us that piece of property, get that property ready. You never know. Okay, this is gonna be the new business. Okay, the new way to make money legally. That is okay. So awareness. All right,
It ain't gonna
guys.
turn into just like selling peanuts. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Ain't got no
Yeah,
urgency.
and the thing about it, you say that, Major. The last time I was to Walmart, the guy came up and said, "What did he say?" He said, "Hats, shades, CDs, weed. It's legal." You know, and I was like, "Really? Is it?" Just like that. He said, "Yeah." And I just laughed and I kept going, but that's how right in front of Walmart. So yeah, medicinal purposes, like, yeah, Trinidad, you're right, but prepare is going to be a very large industry. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm very pleased because when we first started, I was like, you know, nobody talking about the newspaper, this, that, and everybody shocked me. And I'm very surprised that half of you get your 5%. So I am very, very pleased. This is excellent, guys. Keep it up. And I know the first week is tough to digest all that information. Ms. Bullet talks a lot. Ms. Bullet is go south. Y'all got to drag me back in. So y'all really, really did excellent. I'm very pleased. So keep it up. Keep it up. And I look forward to getting some homework this week. And then we'll be in our third week, and there's 2 weeks left after that. When you blink, this is be over. But good job so far.
Thank you.
Okay,
you, Ms.
great.
Bullock.
So you'll have an excellent evening, a productive week, and we'll see you again next week.
Same to you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Ms.
Have a
Bullock,
good
Good
evening.
night,
question.
everyone.
Yes, go ahead, Elkin.
How can I go about subscribing to, oh man, which one this is? To the first one, but that is now to the FATF.
FATF site.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let's go back in. Let me.
Yes, because I've been trying to do that while you were election for the night and couldn't get it.
Okay.
You're looking for the FATF recommendations because I have the slide.
Really?
One of the
Send that in the
social
chat,
media
please.
sites.
Chat,
subscribing
please.
I'll email it to you.
No, he wants to weekly subscription.
Subscribe.
Okay, yeah, that
Oh.
too.
Elkin, hit me up. I go and sleep. I gone. Good night, y'all.
All right.
Hi.
Okay, I'm looking, let's see, policy, contact us. It's like the Securities Commission, you actually have to send an email to them and ask them to subscribe to their site. So let's see if the FATF is like that. So we are on their screen. Frequently asked questions, fraud alert, how do I contact? And I guess this is what you do, because I don't see normally subscribe would be right here. And so this is on the contact. Journalists can contact the FATF, media, browse our photos and videos. We invite journalists to use the high resolution photo. Okay, that's for journalists. Okay, fraud alert, and then contact. You must, I guess, email this contact and ask them to subscribe to their updates.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Because I don't see a subscription, but they do have, you could click on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, any of these. And I guess that would automatically subscribe you as well.
What about publications, Ms. Bullard? Down below on the left,
Let's see, where?
where the arrow is, you think maybe?
Let's see. Okay, yeah, but this, what we're looking for is for them to send it directly to our email every time they have an update.
Yeah, I just wondered if it was
Yeah.
under there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't see it there.
Okay, well, I have a LinkedIn account, so I'll just.
Yeah, follow on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Or just email it, and then they should respond and just ask if you could be added to their mailing list.
Okay.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, but in calendars, no events, topics. Yeah. Yeah, you probably have to email them and ask. Or just follow them on one of these social medias. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Okay. Have a good evening.
Take care and be safe all.
All right. You
Hello.
too.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Night.